For decades, Johnny Carson invited America into the glittering world of Hollywood. The bright lights, the laughter, the charm of The Tonight Show. These were the images the public adored. But behind the cameras, in the quiet of Carson's office, a very different Hollywood existed. Here, the myths unraveled and secrets emerged. Stars revered for their talent, glamour, or charisma revealed truths no fan could imagine. For many in the golden age of Hollywood, stardom was not just about talent. It was about negotiation, compromise, and sometimes the ultimate price of ambition. Tonight, we uncover the hidden stories Johnny Carson witnessed firsthand. The transactional relationships, calculated alliances, and survival strategies that shaped 8 of Hollywood's most legendary careers. 1. Marilyn Monroe, from struggling actress to calculated star. Before she became an icon, Marilyn Monroe was a struggling actress who could barely get an audition. Carson, whose intuition and insider connections were unmatched, recognized that Monroe's meteoric rise from anonymous model to global superstar involved far more than acting talent. According to accounts from NBC executives and producers who worked with Carson, Monroe's early career was facilitated by strategic relationships with powerful men in the industry. Photographers, agents, studio executives, each break in her career came with private expectations. Darryl F. Zanuck at 20th Century Fox, notorious for his predatory behavior, is often mentioned in discussions of Monroe's early years. Carson reportedly did not judge Monroe. Instead, he admired her intelligence in navigating a system that offered women limited agency. What fascinated him was how Monroe eventually transformed these dynamics into a form of power. Initially coerced into relationships that advanced her career, she learned to wield her sexuality strategically, turning exploitation into leverage. By the time Monroe had real influence in Hollywood, the line between performance and authenticity had blurred, but she had become a master of the very system that had once sought to control her. 2. Joan Crawford, the master strategist. Few transformations captivated Carson more than Joan Crawford's journey from impoverished factory worker to Academy Award-winning star and corporate executive. While the public saw a glamorous movie star, Carson understood Crawford's career as a study in strategy. Crawford reportedly formed calculated relationships with both men and women who could influence her professional trajectory. Unlike many who were exploited by the studio system, Crawford approached these arrangements pragmatically. Carson is said to have quipped, "She didn't climb the ladder, she owned it." Crawford's alliances were strategic rather than romantic in many cases. She meticulously evaluated which relationships advanced her career and which did not, building a network of influence that eventually rivaled and surpassed that of many men who had initially exploited her. Her eventual marriage to Pepsi CEO Alfred Steele reflected the culmination of a carefully cultivated strategy, securing power in the business world as Hollywood's doors began to close with age. Crawford exemplified how talent alone was rarely sufficient in the studio era. Strategic personal relationships often determined opportunities, and she navigated these treacherous waters with exceptional skill, maintaining emotional detachment to leverage the system rather than fall victim to it. 3. Rock Hudson, Hollywood's fabricated heterosexual. For Carson, few stories revealed Hollywood's duplicity as clearly as Rock Hudson's. Publicly, Hudson was the embodiment of rugged heterosexual masculinity. Privately, he was gay, navigating a labyrinth of deception to protect both his career and personal safety. Carson reportedly learned from industry insiders about the extraordinary lengths Hudson went to in order to maintain his public image: sham marriages, staged dates with women, and studio-coordinated romances with female co-stars. Behind these elaborate deceptions were often powerful agents, including Henry Wilson, who allegedly demanded sexual favors from young male clients to advance their careers. Hudson's predicament was one of the most extreme examples of the studio era's hypocrisy. To succeed, he had to maintain a public identity entirely at odds with his private life. Carson reportedly observed that Hudson's story illustrated not only personal compromise, but also the complicity of an entire industry. Studio heads, producers, and publicists, all participating in an elaborate fiction to preserve box office appeal. The tragedy was profound. Professional success at the cost of authentic personal relationships. 4. Lana Turner. Strategic seductions of the sweater girl. Lana Turner's glamorous public image was accompanied by a private strategy that shaped her professional trajectory. Known for her 7 marriages and scandalous personal life, Turner navigated her career with calculated precision. According to Carson's private assessments, Turner's relationships often had clear professional dimensions, advancing her roles at MGM and securing her position among the studio's top stars. Carson reportedly admired Turner's pragmatism. Early on, she recognized that romantic relationships were not solely personal, but often instrumental in career advancement. Strategic alliances with directors, co-stars, and studio executives allowed Turner to assert agency within a system that afforded women few options. Unlike other actresses forced to comply with coercive practices, Turner's approach represented a sophisticated method of survival and professional influence within a male-dominated environment. 5. Rita Hayworth, dancing to Columbia's controlling tune. Few stars embodied the extremes of studio control like Rita Hayworth. Born Margarita Canino, she underwent a dramatic transformation orchestrated by Columbia Pictures' Harry Cohn. Carson reportedly described Hayworth's career as one where she danced for the world, but one man called the music. Cohn dictated every aspect of Hayworth's life, from her name and appearance to her relationships and daily schedule. According to insiders, Cohn even bugged her home to monitor her private conversations. While Hayworth's on-screen performances captivated audiences, her off-screen life was subject to extraordinary control. Carson's fascination with Hayworth lay in the human cost of Hollywood success. While she achieved fame, the studio's control came at the expense of personal autonomy, highlighting a broader system of exploitation in which many insiders were complicit, remaining silent to protect their own positions. 6. Tyrone Power, the matinee idol's double life. Tyrone Power's public image as Hollywood's quintessential leading man masked a complex web of private negotiations. Carson reportedly learned that Power engaged in strategic relationships with influential figures of both genders to secure career advancement. Power's situation differed from other stars in that the studio system tacitly approved these arrangements, valuing his commercial appeal above strict moral image enforcement. Through private auditions with directors and producers, Power allegedly engaged in intimate arrangements that facilitated better roles while maintaining the heterosexual facade demanded by the studio. Carson admired Power's ability to navigate these dynamics without succumbing to the psychological strain that destroyed many other actors. Power's approach reflected the era's limited options for actors whose personal lives did not align with public expectations. Survival required negotiation, discretion, and sometimes compromise. 7. Ava Gardner, Hollywood's honest realist. Among the stars Carson encountered, few impressed him as much as Ava Gardner. Known for her beauty, talent, and tumultuous romances, Gardner was candid about how the industry functioned. After-hours conversations reportedly revealed her famous confession: "I was a terrible actress, but I was great in bed." Carson recognized this not as self-deprecation, but as an honest assessment of the multiple currencies in Hollywood's studio system: talent, beauty, sexuality, and strategic relationships. Gardner's marriages and liaisons with influential men were not merely romantic, but often calculated maneuvers to advance her career. Unlike many contemporaries, Gardner did not obscure the truth behind her rise, presenting herself as a clear-eyed realist who understood the system and used it to her advantage. Carson reportedly found Gardner's honesty refreshing and dangerously candid in an industry built on illusion. Her acknowledgement of the role sexuality and personal alliances played threatened the studio's carefully curated narrative of meritocratic advancement. 8. Clark Gable, The King's Secret Apprenticeship. Clark Gable, the rugged king of Hollywood, is remembered for his on-screen charisma and commanding presence. Yet, Carson revealed that Gable's early career involved strategic relationships that were as crucial as his talent. According to accounts from NBC staff, Gable benefited from the support of Mina Wallace, a well-connected agent and producer whose personal attention accelerated his access to influential directors and roles. Carson reportedly told colleagues he earned every role twice, once on screen, once in private. Gable's situation exemplified a unique trajectory. He leveraged early compromises to gain entry, but ultimately built a career defined by talent and audience appeal. Once established, he systematically distanced himself from the relationships that had facilitated his initial opportunities, reshaping his public narrative as a self-made star. Carson admired Gable's ability to use the system without being corrupted by it, a testament to his resilience and strategic intelligence in navigating Hollywood's rigid studio era. The hidden rules of Hollywood's golden age.
Johnny Carson's private conversations with stars and insiders revealed an industry far removed from the glamour and talent celebrated on screen. Strategic alliances, calculated romances, and coerced arrangements were often as important as acting skill in determining career trajectories. From Marilyn Monroe's transformative navigation of exploitation to Joan Crawford's meticulously orchestrated climb, from Hudson's fabricated heterosexuality to Tyrone Power's tacit studio-approved compromises, and from Rita Hayworth's extreme control by studio heads to Ava Gardner's candid realism, each story underscores a core truth. Hollywood's golden age was as much about power and negotiation as it was about talent. Carson, through decades of interviews and private conversations, became the ultimate confidant, witnessing the hidden mechanics of fame. These 8 stars' experiences demonstrate both the corrupting potential of the studio system and the ingenuity required to survive, and sometimes thrive, within it. What audiences saw on screen was only half the story. Behind closed doors, a very different Hollywood existed, and Johnny Carson had the rare vantage point to observe it all. The Golden Era's lessons are as revealing today as they were then. Success is rarely straightforward, power is often transactional, and the public narrative rarely tells the whole truth. For Carson, these insights weren't gossip. They were a chronicle of an industry that created legends while demanding extraordinary personal costs. Hollywood's golden age dazzled the world, but its truths were far more complicated than the public ever knew. Johnny Carson saw it all: the deals, the compromises, and the hidden price of stardom. These 8 legendary stars didn't just entertain. They navigated a system built on power, privilege, and sometimes survival at any cost. Tonight, the truth behind the myths is revealed.